January 6th, they are still exaggerating it, distorting it. They want to take questions off the table about the election in 2020, and they use January 6th as an excuse to do that. Brian Sicknick, the Capitol Hill police officer, died of natural causes. We know that now, even though they lied to us so many times about this hero.
A Capitol Hill police officer named Brian Sicknick was killed by the mob with a fire extinguisher.
Officer Brian Sicknick died after he was hit in the head with a fire extinguisher.
Fatally wounding Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, who was struck in the head by a fire extinguisher.
All right, when that turned out not to be the case, they modified it. They tried bear spray. That turned out not to be the case, and they modified it again, and they just chose a chemical.
Federal authorities have arrested two men in the assault of a U.S. Capitol police officer who later died. Officials say the man, one from Pennsylvania, the other from West Virginia, worked together to spray Officer Brian Sicknick with a chemical during the Capitol riot.
Well, now we know that he died, Brian Sicknick, of natural causes. In the autopsy, nothing about bear spray, nothing about trauma to the head. But they distorted this. They desperately wanted to portray this as a violent death because that would stigmatize Trump supporters even more. And now we're hearing Judicial Watch just found a trove of emails where media organizations were totally like, what's going on here? We have a narrative. Now you're telling us it's natural causes. That doesn't wash. We have a story to tell. By the way, I want to talk about closure for a moment. Closure is a word the media loves to use. You know, people are seeking closure. Governor Cuomo's accusers, they want closure.
I spoke to some of the accusers yesterday, Karen Hinton being one of them. She was actually mentioned in the 165-page AG report. She was not one of the 11 women, but I asked her if this gained her some closure, right, the resignation of this governor. And she says, yes, it had, but it doesn't kind of account for what he did. All right, so let me see Karen Hinton, a political operative for a long time now. She alleges that in the year 2000, 21 years ago, Governor Cuomo gave her an unwanted hug and later asked her intimate questions during a taxi cab ride, I believe. Thought it was inappropriate and unethical. And now she has closure that the governor is no longer governor, or soon will not be. The 11 women, they are all looking for closure. And I've heard this all day long, closure for these women. What about closure for the Babbitt family? Ashli Babbitt. She was shot and killed on television, unarmed, no warning. We all saw it. And no one cares about her family. No one, what about closure for them? Closure. I think it would be really nice for the Babbitt family. But this story continues to be ignored by the mainstream media. But you know who's not ignoring it? The 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump. Just this afternoon, he put out this statement. I spoke to the wonderful mother and devoted husband of Ashli Babbitt, who was murdered at the hands of someone who should never have pulled the trigger of his gun. We know who he is. If that happened to the other side, there would be riots all over America. And yet there are far more people represented by Ashli who truly loved America than there are on the other side. The radical left haters cannot be allowed to get away with this. There must be justice. Absolutely. The one and only. We'll never have another one like him. I'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.